Hello, hello.
Hello again. Yeah, now we are live. We are,
Okay.
we have
Hello,
just.
everyone.
Hello.
Hello,
Hey,
hello.
Hello, Marie.
Magnus.
Hey.
Nice to see you back again. Hi, Lars.
Yeah.
Hello.
Lars,
You can
and
quickly introduce yourself.
from Denmark, and basically I'm fighting the abuse of covert electronic abuse around the world, and which includes microwave weapons, mind control weapons, and so on. So it's very broad, and that's basically what I'm working on at the moment.
I'm Marie, and I'm from Sweden, and I have Morgallons and a lot of other things who is strange. So today I feel very bad. So I have very problem to concentrate, and that's one of the thing of my sickness. So there is a lot to tell, and I hope it will be easier when we have talked little to me to start.
Okay, thank you very much, Marie, because
Yeah.
I know that's a very big effort for you tonight. Hans, just for your information, Magnus just tried to ring me twice, so maybe you should try to ring him.
Okay, I will call him.
Okay, whilst you are calling Magnus, I will quickly introduce myself. I'm Melanie. My name is Melanie Fritschan. I'm 41 years old, and I live in Brussels. And
Yes,
I'm
hello.
also a victim, targeted individual, like most of us here tonight. And together with Hans, we started this discussion group because, well, we will just not take this anymore. This is a severe violation of human rights, and we are determined to do something about this. And now, Magnus, that you are that you have joined us, could you maybe tell us quickly in 3 minutes who you are and why you're here?
Yes, hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
My name is
Sylvie.
Oui.
Sorry, Magnus.
my name is Magnus Olsson, and I'm a TI, a victim of mind control for 6.5 years. And I'm working actively, full time, in trying to expose this kind of crimes. As I have discovered, these crimes are committed all around the globe, actually.
Yeah.
And we are trying to build and form a kind of resistance, and getting this politically analyzed, because families, people are dying out there just because of this experimentation with human life. This life science never ends, actually, because when they reach their goals, they have set of new goals, and so it's running and running and running through the years. This has been going on for 40 years in around the world, and you have the MK Ultra that was also a commitment to experiment on human beings without their consent.
We're going to go into this later, MC Ultra, and we're going to discuss this tonight. Okay, thank you very much, Magnus. And Sylvie has just joined us from Belgium.
Hello,
so, Sylvie. Can you quickly say who you are and why you're here tonight?
Okay, I'm a friend of Melanie Fritschan, and I heard about her illness, so I would like to know more about it, because it's during now for 2 or 3 years, and I'm a little bit worried about what's happened with Morgan, so yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Hi everyone, sorry I'm late. My name is Will from the States. Highly active for a long time on lobbying, changing laws in this country, internationally, as well with the chemtrails and agriculture, and been involved most of my life with knowing the truth of what's going on, industrial, agricultural, food chain, and so forth. So I'm glad to be here. I'm also a member, associate member with the Morgellons Research Group, which is morgellonsresearchgroup.com, and we can talk about that later. But thank you for having me here.
Yeah, you're most welcome.
Okay, thank you very much for joining us again tonight, to being faithful to our group, loyal. Well, I wanted to change the concept a little bit, so we are going to see now an introductory film, a quick short movie with the subjects of all of the subjects that concern us tonight, which is nanotechnology, mind control, Morgellons, and electronic harassment, torture. So we're gonna, if Hans is ready, just how do you say? Go to the movies for a quick moment and watch this introductory film.
This
I'm John
testimonial.
Hopkins, also known as John Berrycheck for Facebook. I'd like to talk to you today about nanotech, which is not nanotechnology. Nanotech are a family of organisms and parasites which are known as organic implants. These are used with mind control, direct energy weapons, electronic harassment, and other things along these lines. These have been around for years. Now they're starting to talk about Morgellons disease. When you have time, look up nanotech and look up Morgellons, organisms and parasites. You'll find out that they're very much the same. This has been going on for a long, long time, this stuff, and the government's been trying to hide it. And now they're trying to make it look like everything's a disease and they don't know what's happening, which is a very big lie in the United States and maybe a few other countries. These Morgellons implants, people have always used these in different ways. As far as all the information, I do have some on my webpage at John Berrycheck at Facebook. You can look it up there and you can list anything you'd like if you'd like to share information. If not, you can look up a lot of nanotech videos. So, thank you very much. Have a good day.
Okay. My opinion in viewing all of this, because I've just got a few new clients coming with these fibers growing out of them, and with the new information, especially from the website, dataasylum.com is one of them. The fibers may be one of the delivery systems for the nanoparticles. We do know that we've identified some of the polymer structures, the polymers of the fiber coming from the food chain. I mean, I personally think it's all connected. Just my opinion and view. How they're connected exactly, I'm not sure, but they're all connected. The Morgellons with the genetically modified food, with the nanoparticles and whatnot being sprayed on us, as well as the metals. So.
So you're saying they're, according to you, they're one big happy family. Maybe not so happy, but there's definitely a link there.
I believe they're all connected. Correct.
Okay.
The reason is that whether it's one technology or another is not going to help us in proving this in court. So I'm mostly working on the detection of signals rather than the technology itself at the moment. So, but today actually, because there's a big, huge American organization with 1,500 members of targeted individuals, and they are having calls basically every night, and the biggest one is usually Saturday night. And I just got the newsletter and invitation for this call they have later on tonight. And on this call, they actually had are any of you familiar with Dr. Staninger?
Yes.
And her work? Yes?
Yeah.
So basically they have a video of her work that I'm going to post here on the IM. and a little video, and this is basically related to it, and that's basically how much I know about it.
Yeah.
So, but I think it's and also she's made something called, or it's referred to as the Staninger report on this. So, but it's very, I've read it, but it's very technical, and it's very hard to comprehend for layperson. And this is why we're not using, I'm not going to use it at the moment in my work, because it's very hard to explain to the layperson. So we're concentrating on other sides of it.
I became a victim when I actually visited the hospital. I had the kind of anxiety attack, and then I was sedated, and I continue. When I woke up, I was in the orthopedic region of the hospital, and I didn't have any problems at all with my my autonomous system. So that was very strange, and then the voices started. They started to open up a line that I was online 24/7, and I've been so for 6.5 years right now. They started out the whole thing with kind of blame and interrogation and hostile, bad cop, good cop, and so on. They tried all kind of manners to map my cognitive abilities. The abilities went up and down through their kind of psychic response to my own thoughts. So they actually could use my own thoughts against me, and the unconsciousness it's very interesting, because you have 1,300 thoughts in your unconscious mind, and then you just realize around 300 of them. So they can manipulate a person without their knowledge at all. So this weaponry is so dangerous, and in wrong hands this can happen. That is already happening now in a big scale. So my work, I'm running mindcontrol.se and cyberbrain.se and informing people about this. I have had a lot of meetings with the politicians. I have had meeting with peace institutes. I just had a meeting with the biggest one in Sweden this week, and they are very, very aware actually what is going on.
They know what happened.
And they just don't know how to tackle the problem right now. But I'm also in the same organization as Lars, and I think we have to establish a good connection net so we can work against this, because this is so high up in the political chain, so to speak. It's very hard, it's very tough to be believed. But since there is in Sweden at least around 40-50 victims that I have connected to all of them and know their stories and so on, we are writing kind of letters to initiate the ethical approach to this ICT, information communication technologies. And there has been a couple of warnings about this in before, but as I said before, the goals are turned so high each time they reach the goals. They have new ones. They will never end this. They are actually this has been going on in the top secret world for 40 years, and I have a lot of information to read on my web page. It's just information actually on them, and there is also sources that are reliable. But IBM just announced the 5 in 5 program. They are in 5 years able to read any man's mind wherever he is in the world. You will also be able to use telemedicine and screening for the hospitals in the future are like virtual. And virtual patients, they are talking about it, and they can also help you with the telemedicine wherever you are in the world, and also x-rays. So this kind of implants in the nano size is so very hard to discover. They interact with your brain even through artificial intelligence. And when you're talking about the artificial intelligence, then IBM also said in the 505 that in the future you will never have to have a computer. You can have the web verbally and talking to the web, and you cannot differ from a human being. So you can actually have a computer with feelings and so on, and they are building this right now. And the artificial intelligence is a war machine that can run over every man. So when they use the artificial intelligence, in my case, they can almost repeat my thoughts in before. It's about attoseconds, it's about picoseconds and femtoseconds. It's about nano size machines on the scale of 50 nanometers. So there is not a normal X-ray that can detect this at all in a usual hospital. So it's a kind of waterproof crime, this, and it's committed without any human dignity at all. It's really the evil in himself.
Yes.
So I hope we can discuss and help each other to find different kind of solutions, because I'm not working in one direction. I'm working in a couple of directions with different kind of institutes and so on.
Yeah. There has to be a big computer they are using, right?
Yes, they are using supercomputers, and they are talking about zetaflops and so on today. So the resources of the signal processing is in need of a supercomputer, but you can use it by the cloud computing way. The new way that IBM also started is that you never have the program in your device. The program is somewhere else, and the supercomputer can back up anything, as in my case. The supercomputer can also distribute different kind of radiation, and this radiation is like a psychodesign. In my case, they have just tried the bad stuff, but I have a lot of doctors, and there is an Israeli conglomerate that is respected in all of the European countries, and they said in Science Daily that this kind of psychodesign will be you will not be without it, so to speak, because your life is going to be much better, and you can also live longer and so on. So this conglomerate from Israel is talking about this already, and you have the smart pill also it's Novartis AG that have constructed this, and it's on the market right now. You just swallow a pill, it solves up by the stomach acid, and then it goes out in the bloodstream, attaching where they want. It's like robots going to their frequency in your brain and getting attached, and from there they start the interaction with the supercomputer. So this is really happening, and the military, they had the nanotechnology for 35 years ago, and for the public today it's known right about now actually, and the evolution is running on, but the common man is not getting any good out of it, not at least yet.
Oh, that's
Do
horrible.
you have any questions?
I just want to make a add-on that usually the black science projects that are mainly run by DARPA in the USA, Defense Development Organization for the Defense Ministry, and they are usually somewhere between 20 or 30 years ahead of common science.
Yes.
So the things that we are seeing released now by IBM and other companies are at least 10, 20 years old. With the megapixels and camera solutions, it's like Dr. Amy Cruz, who was a neuroscience chief at DARPA, at the development organization for 5 years, has admitted that they can read the brainwaves and read the thoughts of every human being on the globe anywhere, anytime, and directly from satellites. So that's how far they are, and this is admitted, although they tried to suppress it.
Yes,
it did get out.
Yes, but everything is going commercial once, at least in the end. So why destroy such a market? Because this abuse and these crimes will prohibit all use. I hope and I believe that in the future this is not allowed to use this kind of technology. But then you have the psychodesign for sick people, mentally sick people, and so on. So it's really a pity that they are doing like this, because I mean, who do you become with a brain computer chip? How are you? Are you the same man, or are you another one? While you can actually stimulate a person to anger, to fear, to love, to everything. They can even direct your dreams and make them like a movie, and you are acting in the movie. In Silicon Valley, they actually have asked Hollywood to produce movies cut from real human dreams. So this neuroscience is going so far beyond that you can ever believe. Even me as a victim, I've been through holographic display and computer marking in almost a Windows format when I have closed eyes. The list is, there's no end of this list, and that's why they will never give it up.
I wanted to say, I don't know if you heard that in the presentation, that actually this person said that it is actually linked to mind control. It is a technology to totally control the human being, what they have invented, and now they're covering it up and call it a disease, you know, because they don't want to, of course, admit that it is a control tool. So they say it's a disease. It's try to cover the truth up.
Yes.
Because it's not an actual disease. It is what I understood and what also Dr. Stanning has said, and maybe we can elaborate on this. It's an invasion of human tissues by nanotechnology. And we do know that it also has a mind control application to it.
Yes.
So I believe it's all linked up, and they are all members of one horrible family. And the main goal is to control and human beings and to suppress our freedom.
That they call everything disease or psychologic, but you can look at me, because when we're sitting and talking here about everything, I can say my head's going around because of the electricity, and I have a lot of activity around everything what we're talking about tonight, and I am alive. I'm a real proof, and you can look at me. I look like shit today, and I feel, and everything what you said, Magnus, then you can just see it's me, and I can't understand why there is so many questions and why so many people have so much problem to understand this is a real thing will happen. This is not a movie. This is not
science fiction.
Something you can read on internet. This is the real life.
Yeah.
I have, my last week have been awful, and I have been sick for 6 years, and this go up and down, but this last week, after all this with our computers and everything, has been real awful. So this is the real truth. This is real truth, and you can just look at me and it says everything.
Yeah, I know what you mean, Marie, and I know what you feel, and I mean, we talk often on a bilateral basis, and I know that, how you feel. Can you hear my? Are there still audio problems?
Yes.
It's not. I will just say this. It's not important how I feel, because I can take handle of my own feeling, but it's important to the people to know. This is the
I agree, and this is why we're here. But what I say is that this cannot go on. We all agree that we will not take this any longer.
I mean,
this is
we have to do something.
Of human rights. For me, it's a crime against humanity, and we will not accept this anymore. And this is why we're meeting. So I know it's really horrible. I can tell you, and this is why I know that I'm a victim of a targeted individual, and also victim of of directed energy weapons, because before this show started tonight, they were heavily bombarding me with radiating me. I could feel waves going through my body the whole day. That the whole body vibrates. It hurts terribly. I mean, I don't need to outline to you what it means to be a victim of this radiation, these microwave weapons. But so I know it's really horrible. I know what you feel, Maria. We talk often. But what I wanted to achieve with this group, and especially tonight, I wanted to try to get a little bit more concrete, is to come up with concrete actions, what we can do about it. Because one thing is clear: we will not accept this any longer.
Exactly.
So I don't know, Hans, if it is possible to put a second video, maybe, where it explains a little bit more about mind control, explains a little bit more regarding these weapons of directed energy, and I believe the electricity that you feel in your body.
It's hard to dispute that, especially when you look at the past history of what's gone on in our country, and when you look at what's out there. Now, I prepared this elaborate speech to make today, and I'll try to stick to it somewhat. I don't want to come across as mechanical, but I do feel it's important to educate, and part of that, I put out what is out there that I've found out in the research. So like Derek said, I've been doing this for probably about the last 3-4 years, and it's mainly looking at the available literature about the history of unethical, non-consensual human experimentation that has gone on in our country that many people are aware of, many people are not. And also into what has been defined as psychotronic or cybernetic technology. And these are things that sound real science fiction and are easily discounted by most people because they don't believe this stuff happens. We see it in science fiction movies. Well, there's more science to this than there is fiction. Most specifically, I've really focused on looking at the history of the covert behavior modification programs, things like MKUltra, and the means that have been put in to achieve what they were going after for their goals. Now, the MKUltra projects, many of us know that these focused on studying how to alter or control human behavior. And this was initially through the use of various psychoactive drugs, hypnosis, and sensory deprivation to create suggestible states so that people could be controlled or given a hypnotic suggestion. The later research focused on how to use electromagnetic radiation to achieve this. Things like radio frequencies, microwaves, and that these things can alter emotional states and deliver subliminal messages and even messages that can be perceived as audible, and all done in a covert manner. Like I said, the main reason I'm here is to help educate the unknowing public. The people that are subjected to this, they know what's going on. It's everybody else that needs to know about this. As representative guests alluded to, there has been attempts at investigation. There has been investigation done at Senate levels, at congressional levels. There's been legislation that's been tried to be passed. None of it is passed. As it currently stands, there are no criminal penalties in our country for performing non-consensual research on human subjects. And this includes the research that's done through most of the agencies. And there's 17 different agencies that have to adhere to what we call the common rule, or at least parts of it. Many of them are able to opt out of certain provisions of the common rule. And most of these include military and intelligence agencies. We need to enact legislation to protect. That is one step. Will that stop what is going on? Maybe not. But it at least is a start. Both Dr. Hall and I have been working with this group for probably about 3 years, mainly to bring awareness of what's going on. We've interviewed hundreds of individuals, and more importantly, we've networked with other scientists, including some DoD scientists like Dr. Robert Duncan, and other people that have been around much longer than me, much people that are much more knowledgeable about this than me. But interviewing well over 600 individuals. We've also reviewed the data that Derek was collecting long before I had any contact with this group. And when you start looking at all this data, there is a pattern of similarity. This includes similarities in physical manifestations, auditory phenomenon, and that there appears to be some type of stalking or harassment involved with all of this. The similarities they're too often repeated. They're often verbatim between different individuals. It's too common to suggest that this is occurring by chance. The result is that many of the complainants have suffered irreparable psychological distress and financial loss. It's probably apparent that this is a program that relies upon psychological torture to harass the individual endlessly, in most cases for years without any end. These are the stories that we have heard. The fact that unethical and unwitting human research has been occurring in our country is well documented, and it's been going on over 60 years. This includes things like the Tuskegee syphilis studies. It includes the human radiation experiments of the 50s and 60s. It includes various chemical and biological programs that where mass populations were being exposed to biological agents, chemical agents, for the benefit of science. To think that such experimentation does not still occur today is not rational. It continued in the past, even after it was found out. It continued after there was public outcry. The fact that nobody was ever held accountable for any of this, the fact that no legislation was passed, there was no sanctions, no loss of license by any of the healthcare providers that were involved in this, by any of the other agencies. This has all created an environment where human experimentation can still occur. Psychotronic technology and psychotronic weaponry development is also well documented in the literature, but even less known to the public than the illegal experimentation that's happened. I think it's of the utmost importance that the public is made aware of the existence of this, and that it can affect one's perceptions and their behavior unbeknownst to the individual. These have been admitted to be in development since at least the 1960s in several countries throughout the world. The bulk of the literature comes from the former Soviet Union and from the United States. There's media reports from 1994 in the Moscow News that reveal that there was a collaborative effort between the United States and the Russians to develop this technology back then, and that in September of 1990, there was even a collaborative agreement signed between the CIA and the KGB. This is information coming from one of the directors of the factories that was manufacturing the technology. The primary concern in the development of these so-called non-lethal weapons is that the stated intentions of the people developing them is that they wanted to implement their use upon individuals and populations at large for ideological control of the masses or tools of political and social control. Is that what it's being used for? We don't know. We can only surmise. It appears to be using on individuals. One of my concerns is who has access to this technology and are they using it for their own individual means. I do want to provide a definition of the term psychotronic for those that are not familiar with that. Most easily stated to be an application of an external stimulus, energy, or some force that causes an alteration in the perception, sensation, or thought process of an individual. A better definition is provided by Lieutenant Colonel Timothy Thomas in his very good article. It's called The Mind Has No Firewall. It's from the U.S. Army War Quarterly in the spring of 1998, in which he reviews the available literature on psychotronic technologies at that time. And the definition he provides is that these weapons have the ability to take information that is stored, and this is in quotes, information stored in a man's brain. It's sent to a computer, which then reworks it to the level needed to control the man, and the modified information is then reinserted into the brain. This is what they envision. In essence, these weapons interact directly with the human nervous system, and the nervous system becomes analogous to a living computer. And for a lack of a better term, that computer can be hacked into. Scientists that we've already mentioned, people like Delgado and Puhart, discovered in the 60s and 70s that electronic stimulation of the brain and subjecting the brain to directed radio frequencies and microwaves can induce any desired emotion that you can experience. It can also control motor movement. After their direct stimulation through implanting electrodes at that time, the study moved on to, can we achieve this in a remote fashion? The results of that literature are not made publicly known. It is known that the research was done. There's been other research that is focused on what is referred to as biological radio communication, and this was referred to in a memo from CIA Director Richard Helms back in 1964, when they were also aware that the Russians were already researching this. Like I said, this technology has been investigated for a long time. So these methods of delivering messages directly to the intended target without the target having any mechanical receivers is what we're looking at. These messages can be subliminal, they can be perceived only by the subconscious, they can be perceived audible without any other bystanders around being able to perceive.
Lars.
What would you like to say, Alice, regarding this?
Yes, basically it's a very important video, but Dr. Robertson is going to be on the board of directors of the international group together with Dr. John Hall and so on, so I know the video, so I hope I wasn't rude by just going for a cigarette. And I just wanted to elaborate a little bit on the things he's talking about, the legal aspects. Basically, the Russians were way ahead in this technology in the 50s and 60s, like he probably mentioned. And they proposed during the SALT nuclear arms race, yes, when they made the SALT agreements. the Russians actually proposed that to take those kinds of weapons into this program to make sure that they would not be spread around the world. But the Americans did not accept that. They did not want to be part of this armament project. And basically they bought a lot of the patents and technology of the Russians when the Professor Smirnov died in 2005. And this is why a lot of the psychotronic technology is now in the US or US controlled. So that's a little bit of the historic background on that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, basically it turned out that it's not a domestic problem anywhere in the world. It goes on all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
And it appears to be military and intelligence communities testing the system for now. That is supposed to be deployed worldwide on a much broader scale. So we are the testing persons, but the system is close to perfect at the moment. And it turns out, actually, when we started the international groups, we got in contact with the Americans that had about 1,500 members in one group. The Japanese have 900 members, the Chinese have 400, and the Germans, I think, 300. So it's a lot of groups, and those are the people in the groups are only the top of the iceberg, the strongest individuals who make it through the first phase of this project. At the moment, basically, we're trying to go away from the labeling of targeted individuals and going towards a goal that is rebranding it as victims of terrorism, international terrorism, because a lot of the funding worldwide has been going in that direction, and this is terrorism, and it's treason, and as a lot of the funding for investigations and so on are going in the direction of terrorism, we have to bring this forward as an issue of terrorism.
Mm-hmm.
And it has to be prosecuted
as terrorism
and it's not limited to any demographic group, religious group, or ethnic group. It's very broad, and that suggests also that it's testing.
You're online.
We're finding a lot of moles and funguses and other microorganisms that not only are being dumped on us, but also our response, natural response inside of our body to the contamination that's taking place and the degradation of the human organism. Mm-hmm. And these microorganisms are getting into the sinus cavities in the inner ear, not only the natural microorganisms, but also the nanotechnology too, if you will. But I'm just more talking about the natural ones in response to the synthetic things that are happening. And when they get strong, these microorganisms become pathogenic and get strong and overpopulate, especially within the sinuses and in the inner ears, which is connected to your sinus cavities. They give off toxins, mycotoxins, and that interferes with our nervous system. And there's a lot of nerves in that inner ear that holds our equilibrium. That's also with our perception of sound, and it interferes, like hacks in, if you will, on the natural aspect of things, but also on the unnatural. With the nanotechnology, there was nanoparticles or nanobots get into the nervous system as well, and can also run interference strategically from their creator's source. So there's two things I believe that are happening here simultaneously, not only the nanotechnology and the hacking into our hard drive that way, but also the natural response of the microorganisms being in a pathogenic state, causing a similar like you're saying, that buzzing or noise or that ringing tendinitis type thing. It could be, and it comes in different frequencies with different microorganism population explosions inside your sinus cavities. So I believe there's two things happening, Hans.
So thank you for having me. Regarding chemtrails, today we have in Ottawa some of the most thick chemtrail activity that I have noticed. I don't know if this is related, but myself, I had to go get medicine because I am coughing too much and I'm sneezing too much. I don't know if it is related, but I want to mention it anyways. Chemtrails. Many of my friends who have a lot of experience in chemtrail activity, like Michael Murphy and so on, they are all frustrated because no matter what we do about chemtrails, we have no result. Now,
Sorry to interrupt. Can you maybe, if there are no results, how is the letter to world leaders coming now? Because I know you were preparing this.
Yes, we have written a letter to leaders. Some people have sent it already out of Germany. I don't know if that will help, because we have contacted them in the past by thousands and thousands of emails, and we have had limited success. Only 14 leaders, or 14 nations leaders in the government have contacted us again, but they say that we're crazy, that we're imagining all this stuff. Even though we tell them afterwards in follow-up letters that we are willing to prove our point, we are willing to provide evidence and to come and see them and make PowerPoint presentations to explain our point, they don't care. So I wonder why they don't care. Perhaps it's because right now, as you have heard, there is a very strong likelihood that there will be an attack on Iran. And because of it, nations around the world are doing things. Canada has announced yesterday, the Prime Minister said that he is giving a budget of $40 billion with a B for a naval shipyard to start construction of warships. And this is the biggest investment for war material in Canadian history, because we are a small country compared to Mexico or United States, and we were always peace-oriented. So I think they are so preoccupied with the preparations for war against Iran. And so that is why I'm sharing my attention between chemtrails and to stop this war with the Green Light Project. Now, I have contacted Iranians. And I'm saying this because all this is related to chemtrails, but I've contacted Iranians who say to me, Sylvain, you will notice that Russia before used to say that, just a minute please, Josh, I'm on the phone. They used to say that they would fight any Western invasion of Iran. And China said the same thing. And China still says the same thing, but Russia is more quiet these days, because I am hearing rumors from Iranian people themselves that the intention is to, once Iran is conquered, maybe after 1 or 2 years, to divide the country between, the land of Iran between Afghanistan, Iraq, Pakistan and Russia to the north. If you look at the map to see where Iran is situated between Afghanistan and Iraq, and the American army still has secret bases over there. So it looks likely to me that there will be an invasion of that country. We have to ask ourselves, Why are they spraying us? And this is perhaps a military preparation activity. It's perhaps military in design. If you look at the how do you say, patents for chemtrails, you will notice the chemtrails have relationships with HARP machine. Okay, and the HARP, it is used to concentrate the direction and the strength of the signal of the HARP machine. And many of you have noticed that HARP activity has been increased. Many of people have noticed in the sky the HARP patterns in the chemtrails. Many have been hearing HARP in different countries. They have been hearing strange noises. The latest noise is here in Alberta, in Canada. Strange noise. It sounds like flying saucers, you know. Even today, it is the loudest signal. And now, I believe that chemtrails and HARP together are used in preparation for war, both to focus the HARP activity, also to make to scare us. Now, in Iran, for instance, there are videos of HARP activity connected to the burning of seals and dolphins. Because
yeah, I've seen this. Really terrible. Yeah.
Yes, because HARP and chemtrails are weapons of war. Also,
yeah.
It's not only to make us weak. It's not only to make us weak. It's not only to change our willpower. It's also to connect it to the HARP machine. Because I'm not changing the focus from chemtrails, because chemtrails, I believe, is a military activity.
Well, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Okay. Could you quickly introduce yourself?
Can I do what?
Introduce yourself.
Oh, okay.
If you could introduce yourself.
What do I say about myself? I'm Will. That's who I always have been. But because I chose to be an independent individual, I began to think differently from everybody around me. You people are talking about something I never ever thought of, chemtrails. In this area where I live, there are very few of these chemtrails that you people talk about. I think I've seen a couple. I live in Arkansas in the United States. And basically I see contrails, I don't see chemtrails. I may have seen 2 or 3 this last year. And to be talking about this kind of thing and in the depth and the regard that you people are talking is surprising to me. And I think it would surprise 90% or maybe 99% of the people in the state. Basically, I'm an apolitical individual. I'm more inclined to be on the spiritual and philosophical side of life. But I'm a friend of Hans. I've been working with, I've known him for maybe 8 or 10 years now. I don't know. He'll keep track. I don't.
Yeah.
And I've been trying to do what I can to support him in his efforts.
First of all, I want to say that the chemtrail truth movement has been going on for at least 15 years, and 15 years of failure. We have the evidence. We have more than enough evidence. And we have no unity whatsoever because we have all refused to look at the common denominator between all of us. And that is the tool of all great politicians who want to unite people into action, is to find the great common denominator. Hitler did it, Goebbels did it, all the great leaders today, even Bush did it. And we are not doing it. We are trying to find, to share information, and this information is being shared. But nobody believes us because we are divided ourselves, and even some chemtrail activists are actually fighting each other and discrediting each other. I speak to the leader of the Belfort group, who is in Belgium, and with all the activity he has generated in the world attention on this subject, still there is no action, even though he himself was a mayor of a town in Belgium before. I highly recommend that our group seek to have power and to have unity first, and it can be achieved very simply. And it can be, but we have to agree on one common purpose. And if we do not, we will continue to fail. It is not the victims who will save us, because they have failed also. And I have failed also. I am also a victim of chemtrails. I will remind you that there are some chemtrail leaders who are actually working for the government. I know one of them, and I cannot denounce who he is. He is in southwestern United States, okay? These people who actually have top secret clearance with the government, and they sound very credible. All I'm saying is that a very small minority of the people will pay any attention to us, because not only the government thinks that we are quacks, well, they don't think we're quacks, they know we're telling the truth, but the majority of the mass don't care about us one bit, and because we are not hitting on a common denominator, something that is common to us all. And
well, isn't the air common to us all? Sorry. We all breathe the same air.
I would discourage any international conference. You can make an international conference, but you cannot even tell me right now how it will be successful. You cannot tell me now how it will change the popular opinion, because you don't know. Neither do I know. But I don't discourage you, because you are doing a good thing. However, it's not a powerful thing. We need power on our side. We have very little time, and we can have power.
There, I would say what is really important is that we present evidence. You know, for example, these TI measurements that lasted. Well, there are evidence. For example, just for your information, I suffer from Magellan's, which means that I have really unknown material coming out of my body, my hands everywhere, and or head at least. Now it's less, but when this started, there were really a lot, which is obviously not normal. And I took them to a professor here in the university, to an environmental toxicologist, and also the chairman of public health here at the Leuven University. So quite a respectable university and man, I'd say. And believe it or not, we did 2 samples. I presented him with 2 samples. And I think the first visit to him it's dating from August. And the second one was in October. We're now mid-January, and I still didn't succeed of getting the results of these samples, this analysis. I called numerous times, and when I had them the first time, they said, okay, they looked at it in the lab under the microscope, and they said that they were quite surprised. They'd never seen such structures. It's nothing they are used to. They don't know what it is. So, and that's why he asked me to come back to take a second sample. So they have never seen anything. What it proves is that it's certainly not something common. So he told me he had never been he confronted with Magellan's, or I don't know if that's true or not, but what they said in the lab, it's some unknown material. So we took the second sample, and now we're mid-January. I've called numerous times. I had Peter Verreke, that Sylvain was just talking about, the founder of the civil rights movement here in Belgium. I had him call. I left messages. I called. I tried to get everything. I asked even my doctor to send another letter to this man, to this professor, to say, okay, I have the right to get these results, and I want now the report of this analysis. Even if it says it's an unidentifiable material, this would still show that there is something unusual. You know, it's some sort of proof or some sort of evidence. But what my guess is, because the first time when I went there, he actually showed me the report from the first sample. And it was in Dutch, but I could understand it, and I can tell you that I saw crystalline structures, polymers, all kinds of stuff that you will normally not find in the human body. So we need to find proof. If we want to be taken seriously, we need to find proof. So I really try to get this this analysis, because then we have some evidence that there is something wrong, you know. The other thing is, and I don't want to shock you, but it's Dr. Will Spencer has now left us, but this is really true. There have been bending electrical tapes found in the throat of some patients that strangled them to death. So he confirmed to me that several people have been dying from this because the doctor has not taken them seriously. And there are electrical bending tapes, and they strangle people. Not all of the patients have that, but some do, and I happen to be a part of it. So I know for a long time, I could feel when it was installed there, because of the technology that Otto assembled, and that's stalking me basically. So it is very difficult to find a doctor that will actually believe you, because they all think you are either nervous or crazy, or I had answers like, stop watching so many James Bond movies, this is all science fiction, or when you're stressed and you have the feeling that somebody's choking you, all kinds of crap. And but this is really true. There's evidence about this technology. I got Will involved, Dr. Will Spencer. I asked, because I'm very surprised, and I share this for you tonight because it's evidence. I'm very surprised that I happened to find a surgeon that was actually ready to try an intervention and to see if we cannot take at least a piece of this choking technology that is in my throat out, because if we could, and this gives us an possibility of identification of where this could have been manufactured. You follow me, Will? I know you look a little bit lost. I know it's a bit complicated, but bear with me. I will come to the end of the story. So if the surgeon takes out a piece of this electrical bending tape that is in my throat, and we can, because some victims have actually succeeded in doing this, and I will do anything that is in my power to prove my case, even if I have to take a general anesthetic, whatever, I don't care. So if we can pull a piece out of this, then this could actually help us to identify where this thing has been manufactured. And if it works, then we have a case. And then we have someone to sue. So I'm very surprised that I actually found a surgeon that took me seriously after having seen I don't know how many, and that said, okay, I'm ready to try an intervention. I believe you. I'm ready to, basically cut your throat open and try if you can see to get something out of it. But he wanted to do it from the inside only, which is less certain, let's say, as a result, to get this thing out, or at least the piece. And so I said, well, if this is less certain, because I can feel it from here, then I prefer you cut from the outside. So he said, oh, well, no, you're going to have a scar. I cannot justify this. And I said, well, I don't give a shit about having a scar, Actually, it's even better, because this is going to be very shocking if I have a scar here. And if we pull that thing out, if having a scar from the outside, cutting from the outside, increases our chances of success, then I'm ready to do that. But he was still he had no experience with this, because this is actually bioterror. So what I did is I got Will, that was just with us now, Dr. Will Spencer, on the phone, who's from the Magellan's research group, who's aware of this strangle technology. And I said, well, this and this happens. I found a surgeon. Could you get in touch with him and tell him and send the evidence, the photos of these things that have been taken out of people's throat, and explain him exactly what this is about, because I wanna build a case, and I need him to cut, if it's necessary from the outside, anything that increases my chances to prove my case right. I will do. So can you get in contact with him and explain him what this is about? Because then in the meantime, he had written to me that, I had an operation date, which was the 11th of January, and then he wrote to me saying, oh no, I have a very urgent case now with somebody who's cancer, so I have to postpone you. But I could die strangled to death any minute. So the person who has cancer is an urgent case, and I'm not an urgent case. So I cut my story short, but so Dr. Will Spencer had contacted him, saying, well, this is really true. These are the pictures of this strangle technology that we have taken out of people's throat. And it's not, this is not science fiction, it's not a fantasy, this is really true. So I think he took this very seriously, because immediately afterwards he came back to me and said, I got the information your friend sent. We will do the operation, and he proposed a new date. So I'm not saying we're gonna have evidence. I'm not gonna say it's gonna work. I'm not gonna say that we'll have proof. But if we do, then you can count on me to bring these people to justice. And I know that in few cases this has already happened. There have been operations have been succeeded, and there was an identification number on this strangle technology, or even the name of a biolab. So these have been sued. One was in Germany and one was in Holland, I believe.
Well.
So can I say something?
Yes.
Yeah, sure. My story is finished. My horror story.
Well.
The story finished. The problem is that I'm very afraid for you, because I have proof. I have taken away 3 cysts. They have done 1 biopsy in my head, and I try to tell them about maybe I have 10 different fibers in my head I can pull out every day, and I really have the proof. But the biggest problem is there is no one to really who is important, that who can do something, or maybe can help, or maybe take the proof to the next step. That's my biggest problem, and I'm afraid, because you have been also in many, even if they find, you must really trust the doctors. So
yeah, that's my worry.
Yeah, so because I'm so surprised that I can show them. I have red fibers, black fibers, silk fibers, white fibers. I don't know how many things I have in my body. Around.
And they will tell you that you have picked up these things and put them on your hands, and then you come to the doctor to say, hey, this came out of my skin. Because I had answers like this. It's really crazy.
I do that when I was in hospital 3.5 years ago. I do that in that time, but then I was so bad, both psychologic and in my body. So they started to treat it with some medication, and then I have a lot of problem, because now, almost 4 years after, they think, oh, I'm crazy. And I'm so surprised, because every time I go to the doctor and I tell them, and they see year after year my hair not growing out, I try to tell them how much it hurts, because it's like chicken skin on my head, and even if they see me, so they're turning around and say, oh, she must shaving every day. And it makes me so crazy, because I'm a real proof. I can, they can look if they want to do it. And maybe I will take a gun and say to them, pull out this shit out of my hair and look it under the microscope, because my biggest problem is to find the doctor. And now I will wait to come to the hospital again with the skins I don't know what's the name in English, but in the hospital. So we will see if they can, because I can prove the way, and like you said, it is electrical. It's like it twisted around my neck and truth, and I really can pull them out, and I can really see they are magnetic, they are electric. I have done the research by myself for so long time, so I know I'm not crazy, and that's what you're talking about before. We are so many people here, and I think it's a very, very big problem for the people who is sick, because I can talk almost, but I cannot do anything because I have not the power, I have not the energy, I have nothing. I've been so sick for so many years. So
yeah, but that's just what they want to achieve. And I know, but I think I completely agree with you. I had the same problem. Doctors would not believe me.
But I must say
But I think also that we are here, all these testimonies, they are already proved. You know, do you think all these people?
Because the other victims, there is so many people like me and you, and they don't know where they should go, because I didn't know about Morgellons 2 years ago, two and a half years ago. I thought I was poisoned. So I was many years.
I also found it out because they told me it was because I traveled a lot at the time. It was a tropical disease that I had probably caught when being on mission, also, which is completely crazy. It's actually me who started reading, and I found this. But what I agree with you, it's very, very difficult to make the doctors listen. And actually, I have also often the impression that they're actually in on this. You know, actually they know what's going on. At least a few, I believe, and they do not want to recognize it. Because this is why the thing, I mean, you know, it's what you said is that you're afraid for me because I'm doing this operation to prove my claim correct, but also because I'm trying to save my life, because otherwise I will be strangled. But it's true that it's a risk to put myself in the hands of this doctor, because very strangely, when even if these things have been happened, even if they did operations, or with my sample now, then they have mysteriously disappeared in the lab or whatever. So I'm going to be put to sleep completely. It's a general anesthetic. So it's true, if I wake up, I have no control about if he tells me, well, we didn't find anything, then I cannot do anything about it. But if there's at least the smallest chance of success, I think I have to do it. Because if it works, you know, if it works, and it's absolutely no guarantee, but if it works, then we have a physical evidence of this nanotechnology in my body. And then I'm going to sue this company's ass, you know.
I think you have.
So we need to focus about finding proof.
Yes, I think you might have a problem, both in Sweden and Holland and Belgium and Denmark. We all have public healthcare systems, and all the technology we are the victims of are definitely intelligence services, and it's unbelievable how they have infiltrated the entire public system and healthcare system. It's like a cancer that has grown completely beyond. Yeah. And in the US, actually most of the people I'm in contact with, they will never go to the hospital because they know it's infested with intelligence, and they are subpoenaed by intelligence. And the American law actually has provisions in the Patriot Act that the doctors have to work with them. We don't have that in Europe, but they do, and we are just consider that this is all a public enterprise. It's basically the same company. You cannot distinguish.
No, I'm completely aware of this.
You cannot distinguish the public hospitals, intelligence, and military research. It's all basically one melting pot of criminals.
Right.
There might be good people in there,
I should not do it?
but if those few who are decent people in there get too noisy and too loud and try to expose something, they are disappearing very fast, and they are threatened, and very few people who have reached this doctor degree and so on are willing to put their own lives on the line to expose this. So just consider when you're going to a public hospital.
Yes, but the alternative is that I'm not going to do anything about it, that I let myself tortured and killed, even, or strangled to death without even trying to, to expose this or to do anything about it. So I'm completely aware of what you're saying. I agree with you. This is all one corrupt family, you say, and the intelligence services are definitely play a big part in this. And we're not human beings to them. We are research research
objects.
Project. Sorry, that's what I wanted to say. So I agree with you, but I always believe that there is, in this ocean of really dark things and horrible crimes, I always believe that there's maybe the one lucky strike, which is always in the minority, and if you fall on the right person, you might get lucky. And it just takes a lot of luck and a lot of endurance.
I think you really have to do you really have to do your homework and check out this person out first, and basically let them know and get them to tell you whether or not they are going to put their own lives and livelihoods on the line for you.
Well, what would actually happen if this doctor pulls out a piece of this electronic bending tape? What would happen to him? In what way is he going to put his life on the line? Sorry, Marie, I'm asking.
What happens is that he will be a subject either to mind control technology. He will be labeled by another doctor, maybe a dear colleague, that will label him as a mentally delusional person, maybe an alcoholic. He needs to be medicated, and he's basically just caught away, like next room to the other people.
If he puts this thing out, there's physical evidence. If he succeeds in getting a piece out.
Yeah, but
you mean afterwards he's going to be labeled as crazy?
Some other doctor is going to look at it and say he's a crank, he's a crook, and his medical license will disappear, because he's obviously not knowing what he's doing. If he knows what he's doing, if you know what I mean, he's going to be discredited.
Okay, so what do
you are completely underestimate their power.
Yeah,
no, I do not. But the alternative is that I'm not going to do anything about it, and that I'm going to be tortured and killed, maybe, with this technology.
No, but what I'm telling you is that you need to really talk to this doctor beforehand and know whether or not they are going to put their lives and livelihoods on the line for you.
Well, I did talk to him, This was I talked to about 50 doctors, and this was the only one who took me seriously. And he immediately said, "Okay, I'm ready to try it." So I might be wrong. He might be a criminal. He might, think I'm crazy. But I might also, and I know that the chance is very small, just fall on the one person that is actually was the right person to meet in that moment. And I know the chance is small, but the alternative for me is even less unacceptable, which just means not to doing anything about it. And saying, oh, well, the whole system is corrupt, they're all evil, he's not going to do anything because then he's going to have problems. Anyway, it's doomed from the start. I cannot do this. I cannot say that. Okay, I've always been an optimist, but maybe a little bit too much. But I cannot, especially what's going on, I cannot stand here and say, okay, I'm not going to do anything. It's anyway no use because they're all corrupt. See what I mean?
No, I don't see what you mean. What I think is that you should really make sure who you're dealing with, and otherwise you should consider doing it privately in a different country. Like when I did my MRI scans, I went to Bangkok. I had them at a private hospital in Bangkok instead, so to keep out the Danish intelligence community and the Danish healthcare system out of it completely. And I got them with me under my arm when I left.
Yeah, but you didn't get. I mean, it could be anything. You didn't get results from them.
Well,
from what I understood.
No, I didn't get results in the sense that they are definite proof, but they do show anomalies. You can just not say what it is.
Yeah,
but
just like
together
mine.
with the frequency scan and other things, you can. You have several packages of circumstantial evidence that all points to the same. So when we pile up those, it becomes very strong.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, and also, I mean, okay, the fact that there is, and hopefully I will get it. Finally, I will the sample of this stuff that comes out of my skin, or then okay, maybe it won't work, but if I'm very lucky, it might work with this intervention. And if we have, the more evidence we have, the better it is. And I agree with you. It's the culmination of all this evidence, of all these things that are not normal. Because I was told the same like you. I did an MRI scan, and they told me, well, there is this, and this, and this is just a zone. It be less dense. It could be anything, but there is something. Okay, but if there's more things like this, okay, the analysis with the toxologist and the chair of the, that I'm hopefully gonna get. If we get something from this operation, and we might not at all, I agree with you, then this MRI scan where there is something that it could be explained by various things, but okay, there is something. Then the frequency test. And all these things together, I agree with you. At one point, they will not be able to say anymore, oh, well, this could be anything, or, you know, maybe just a zone that is less dense, or maybe this is, you know. So, and I believe I have to do anything, yeah, to further this goal. And anyway, I mean, I'm constantly strangled. I cannot live with this, you know, I mean, go on. So anyway, I need to take some action, you know, even if it's not gonna result in anything, but maybe it will, you know, you never know.
That's horrible.
Possible. I'm not gonna go too much into detail now. I mean, I'll tell you next week. But I have actually, because we all agree, I think, that we need to bring these crimes to public attention. So I have by myself started I've contacted a few journalists, and in view of a TV interview and in view of a radio interview. So I will not say anything about this right now. I will explain more about that next week. But I believe that it's only this way we can go. So I think there are three main things we need to do. We need to get more organized. I completely agree with Will about that. We need to found an organization. To
get stronger.
Agree on a leader. Identify a few key people that could help us. The rest is going to be snowball effect anyway. Then the part, I believe, is we need to focus on the evidence. Anything that can prove our claim. And the third is that we need to go really public. No, what's this? So, I mean, I think it's very important that we have these meetings, that we exchange experiences, but we need to, we need to say it loud. We need to go and raise awareness and address the public with this. And actually, you have 1,000 new victims every day.
Is there data?
Yes. So so you have the estimate that 1,000 new victims every day are victim to this Morgellons bioterror.
This is one of the things
when
that's
you look
necessary
at,
for this organization, is you need to gather that data. All the data that will support your speech.
it's the how do you say the absolute the leading scientist that has studied this from the beginning that has come up
Maybe
with
they
this,
have, but you have to have a core of data to work from.
Yes, I agree, and this was what we said in one of the last meetings. We said we needed a database with where all the doctors, patients, scientists could share their data about Magellan. But so it's commonly accepted that there are 1,000 new victims around the globe every day. So my reflection is to arrive at such numbers. For me, this can only be airborne. You know, how could it spread to such diverse region of the globe if it's not done by airplanes? I believe there are other channels of deliveries. I believe you can swallow it in food, maybe vaccines, or even they put it in the drink water. I mean, in tap water. I've heard there are certainly other ways of delivery. But to affect so many people on such a large scale of the globe, I believe it can only be airborne. That's my personal opinion, and that's how it's linked to chemtrails. And then also, I think we discussed this last time. The samples that have been analyzed of this material that comes from the body of the patients, of people, actually match chemtrails samples that they took. It's the same material. So, for me, this is linked to chemtrail.
Yes, because
For me, it's clear.
coming over us. What I think is that maybe the people who don't have the symptoms and everything, they maybe have it inside, but it's just not activated yet. They are.
Yeah, it's actually estimated that it's already in the blood of every person on this planet, or at least 95%. I believe she talks about the wine test. So it is apparently, well, the only thing I can say, there is a test with red wine that if you rinse your mouth with it and spill it out, actually, I've personally not done it, but I have an experience linked to this, that actually there is, okay, it gives, I don't know how you say it, like mousse, and it moves when you spill it out. So when you're infected with Magellan's. And this is apparently because wine had some reaction to this with this technology. What I can say about this is that before I even knew that I had Magellan's, my son was about 3 or 4 months old. I was very, very tired, but everybody told me, oh, that's the baby, that's normal. But I knew there was something absolutely not normal going on. So finally I managed to get an afternoon free. Somebody, babysitted my son, and a friend of mine invited me to a restaurant. She said, you have been through so much, so I would like to give you a nice treat, and I would like to invite you to a restaurant. So obviously there I drank wine. I drank a good red wine. And I thought, okay, finally breastfeeding came to an end. I can drink wine again. I'm going to have a nice lunch here with my friend. But I had already felt that there was something not right with me. There was something, I didn't know it was Magellan's then, but I'd never felt this way, so tired, so weak. So, it was, even when I had, mononucleosis, toxoplasmosis, which also makes you very tired, this was nothing next to this. So I knew there was something wrong. So we arrived in this restaurant and I ordered a good glass of wine. And I drank it, and I could feel my mouth moving. Tongue, mouth, there was a reaction. And actually these, this technology, these fibers, they go in every part of the body and also in the tongue, in the mouth area. So when this is installed, and I know there's an implant also, so I can feel them in my tongue, in my ears, everywhere. This was the first time I didn't have any material yet coming out of my body, my hand. But it's not normal that when you drink wine that you your mouth will move.
Yeah.
You know, there's a reaction in your tongue. So I believe this is what years later that I heard about this wine test, that this is a test with red wine you can do to see if you're infected with Morgellons or not, that this was the first sign. I couldn't how do you say, I couldn't interpret it at the time. I didn't know what it was. I just found it very peculiar. You know, but I mean, if you tell doctors these kind of things, they will immediately send you to a psychiatrist. If you say, well, I had a glass of wine and my mouth was moving, or I mean, I had a reaction, then it's going to think you're crazy. But this is what I know about this, and it was years later that I read that apparently one way of detection, if you're infected with this, is this red wine test.
But I think if you have Morgellons, because you don't need to do this wine test, you can see if you have it. Yeah, you can see it, because I remember maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and I had never heard about these Morgellons. Then I saw the first, I thought that was like from a pen or something who goes under my skin. So, okay, I think that's nothing. But the beginning with Morgellons, I think it's begin with cold and problem with your lung and very weak, tired. I have a fever, lot of, you begin to, your voice is very grow, and after all this infection you can explain, because you think in the beginning, oh, maybe I'm just sick for a cold or some other normal infections or disease. But after a while, when the body begins to hurt and you sleep, I could sleep like 24 hours, and then I couldn't sleep at all. And I when I worked, I had so pain and so much crawling, but I didn't think in that way, because I was so busy with my work, so I didn't think about there was something crawling in me, or it was just like it hurts. But after a while, the first little small sore comes to my skin, and because I work with in that I work with cosmetic for 25 years, so I think, oh, what is this? This is not a normal sore. And then I begin to see the fiber, and I think this is something wrong, but I couldn't believe that was something who looks like a small thread, or how I can explain it. I don't know if I said right word, thread, in English.
What I want to say about this, Marie, and this is really what I mean. The same. Well, it links to what you've just said, and it also links to mind control. And because I know I'm mind control. I know that
but I mean, Melanie.
But what I want to say is about this, that with this technology in the body, it actually, and this I read, and scientists say this, if you're skeptical will, but and I know it. I experience this myself on my body. Is that what is really strange, and I think Marie has it as well, with this technology in your body, with these ICT implants that are nano size, but there are in Morgellons, this is actually what it is, it's nanotechnology, they can, when they use these weapons of directed energy against civilian targets like us, as you were, well, it's very easy for them to locate you and to direct the energy to radiate you exactly there where you are, because they can track you everywhere. What I have noticed is that when I go to sleep, first of all, I have muscle twitching. I have things that I've never had, and I've got this electricity going through the body and the waves. But in the morning when I wake up, and I don't know if you have this as well, Marie, I think you have, and I'm sure that it's linked to laser technology. And I talked about this yesterday with Stroom. You know, Stroom is our IT guy. And in fact, when I wake up in the morning, I have plenty. You have already seen, this is on a larger scale, these very strange designs in the crop circles, you know, in the fields, you know, where they always said, oh, we don't know where this came from, are this the aliens, is it, you know what I mean, the crop site circles in the fields, these very strange designs, yeah. Well, in the morning when I wake up, and that's what I said to Strum yesterday, and he actually believed me, and it's really true.
Well, I have to go, so see you next time.
You have to go, Lars? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks,
but I think
thanks for joining.
Good advice is to keep UFOs, aliens, and crop circles out of this.
No. This is not. This is not about this. I'm saying this is a laser technology because I wake up with scars.
Yep.
And that makes
but
me
I'll
think
see
of
you
this.
next time.
Okay.
Okay.
Lars,
Bye-bye.
thank you very much.
Bye, Lars.
See you.
Hi. So, is that when I wake up in the morning, I'm full of this kind of very strange scars and patterns and how do you say? Very strange.
Yeah. But
things.
you know what that
all over,
that
like
is?
little scars, and this is not normal.
Yeah, but you know what that is? But because I got sometimes when the sore begins, it's because this is especially I think the silk one or the white one, they are like a needle. It hurts. It scratches your skin. Some of the fiber, it's so that looks like when you wake up, like you have a scratching your or something like that. So some of the fiber is so sharp. So that I have problem when the sore begins. I have a lot of them. I look all over my body, and it's going around in a circle, and you can't put it away because it hurts your skin. So the going under like a plastic, like plastic under, like you have two layers of your own skin, but not the normal and normal. And then the fibers begins to grow under, but some of them is so sharp so they hurt your skin. It sounds crazy, but for me, I have looking it for all this year, and it's unbelievable how it is. But this is because in the beginning I couldn't understand why I have so much scars, like you said. I have a lot of them when I wake up, but it's very, very important that you take care of them, because if you don't, so they're moving from a scar to another scar, and they build away. That's what's happened to me, and that's what, especially over my face, and they're growing like a spider web over your body.
Yeah, nanorobots. They're so small that they can move.
They are so small you can't see it.
Yeah.
But it's and now when I understand, now I can more take care of myself, and that's, I think it's important because this is so crazy sick disease, and because of the doctors and nobody believes on it, we must take so much energy to explain our illness. So I took so many years to do that. But after a while, I tried to begin to heal myself. It's not easy because I'm sick, but I know what's happened to me, and that's the problem. Is there is so many who don't know what happened, and maybe we can tell them what happened to us, and this is alive in a nightmare. So maybe there is some people who listen to us that we can help them, even if we need help. So maybe we can help to explain what happens, that you said about this wine test. But can you drink wine now, Melanie?
I can drink it, yeah. But
did you feel the same?
It's not moving anymore, but I know that there are implants in my tongue because I can feel the electricity going through, and it's I know that there are ICT. It's either an ICT implant or these electric bending tapes. There is same system. Actually, when I push here where this strangle technology is, it goes in my tongue. Also, there's a link. Thank you, because I hear my son.
Okay, no problem. Anyway, we are finished. Okay, thank you so much for joining.
Thanks very much for everything.
Okay. Anyway, we are in contact and we have to continue this. See you later. Thank you.
Okay. Bye.